Well, the way we came up with the concept for this mochi is he designed his own restaurant and I designed mine. And then we incorporated the ideas.
Mochi is a Japanese dish. It's actually just pounded sticky rice. We had to form like nice balls out of that, and it became quite messy, and we had a lot of fun. It's 10 years ago, right now that I was in Japan. Years later we were looking for a name for the restaurant. After a while we said like, why don't we name it Mochi? We have a menu, but you can only eat it. We don't have a cart or something. Every course we serve like up to 4 different dishes, and it's dishes that are meant for sharing, so we put it in the middle of the table. There's meat, there's fish, there's vegetarian, so there's always something to everybody's liking. What is the base for our kitchen is Japanese, Latin, but the Japanese actually extended a little bit, so there's some Chinese, some Indonesian, some Thai. It wasn't until I met Lisette, which is now my wife, and we met in Miami. There's many Latin people. The Japanese stuff was also already rising there. There you can also find some crossovers. For me, that brought a lot of ideas. So we started trying with original Colombian food, but also Peruvian. Peru is known, especially in the capital, for the mix of people. There's many Chinese, there's Japanese, there's loads of Italian people there, and they're together for quite some time, so they really have a kitchen that is really mixed. So the local kitchen in Lima is already a kind of a fusion thing. Here in the Netherlands, you still see everything separated.
Part of the reason that we came up with the menu was because at the beginning of Mochi, you don't want to shock people right away and go boom, you know, especially when you're used to eating something, fish, this and that. So he basically made a menu where you can also order something that you feel comfortable with, like a nice steak with seared tomatoes, sea bass. The whole purpose was to get them in to try the food and then incorporate a mix.
We could make people taste things that they didn't taste before.
It actually started to become like more like 70-80% of everybody that would walk in would be like, oh, and do you have the chef menu? Like, we've heard about it. Little by little, it took off on its own.
Yeah, they liked it.
They like it. That's what we kept
They like it, yeah.
Well, everybody that walks in here, actually, they're all like, oh, we're going to get the frikandel, oh, we're going to get the frikandel. And it's really funny to see that. And also, we've had a lot of support from colleagues, you know, other chefs, and that also helps.
The core of the frikandel is actually a Balinese variety of satay. The variety I was making was with lemongrass in the middle, so it looks cool, it's a fresh taste and everything, but it's an awful amount of work. And I made all this dough to make those satays, and I had really too much. And then I just dipped it in tempura batter, I deep fried it. I put mayonnaise, Japanese curry sauce, I put onions on it and some spices. I chopped it and served it.
And success.
It was a success.
They loved it.
You know, the only thing they could recognize was actually mayonnaise and curry sauce, but that's what the Dutch people love anyways.
Producer, arranger, superstar.
We're very proud of having the best ingredients and cooking level, so we want to also incorporate that in the design. This was a great idea. I think you came up with the idea of the tables, and it's lotus leaves, which also brings good luck. I think the funniest story is this wall. When we decided to do the wall, I'm thinking one small wall, and then he said, no, I'm gonna do the whole back wall. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. The wine rack also, we have a very small space, so we had to think about space. He designed everything from A to Z in the computer, the exact measurements of the couches, of every single detail. A lot of customers keep asking us for workshops, food workshops, sake workshops. A lot of people are not used to eating with sake here. I mean, if you go to London, if you go to New York, it's very hip. You know, you go to a sake bar, you go to a restaurant, and people order by the bottle. It's still, we introduce the food little by little. We also have to introduce other ways of having our food as well. Our wine cart is made so it matches with a lot of the flavors that we have. So it's a bit of a different wine cart, a bit of a different sake cart. But I think a workshop is fun. We've been also maybe a pop-up restaurant.
Pop-up is cool, yeah.
It's a very hip idea also now, coming in Berlin and London. Hopefully travel the world and be able to open a mochi in another country or another location, expose people.
Sunny location, Miami.
Mochify the world. World domination.
Yeah.